Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? Let's get back to Iraq because there's some movement happening that I'm sure a lot of people are not aware of. We need to bring that up. It seems to me that these two are already hard at work doing what it is that Sauder wanted to do in the first place. You'll see what I'm talking about here in just a second. Before we get started, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel. I surely do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, right now is the time, along with any other precious metals. And when you go to make that purchase, go check out our friends over there at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. First time buyers, if you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you will get a free half ounce of silver. All right, there's a few things that are interesting that are happening. The United States, it looks like, is going to exempt Iraq from having to honor sanctions against Russia and allow them to start buying weapons from Russia. Remember, they're out of Chapter 7 now. They have the right to start buying military weapons and start arming themselves and do what they need to do to protect their country. Iraq prefers Russian-made weapons because they're easy to maintain versus the United States. What they were saying is, whenever you need to fix something, especially a really expensive equipment, you have to hire a specialist to come over and fix it, and it's not worth it. Versus whenever you buy a Russian equipment, it's real easy for them to maintain and work on those machineries. So, the United States is going to allow, it looks like, it's not set in stone yet, but allow Iran to purchase weapons from Russia, which is really unique on it, considering what's going on between Ukraine and Russia. You would think that they would really clamp down. That would just be my thought. But there's more to what's actually going on in this so-called invasion. But yeah, here you go. The United States intends to exempt Iraq from sanctions on Russian weapons. I'll just skip down to this part. It says U.S. exemptions from the sanctions. The report quoted a U.S. official, of course, who didn't want to be named. Washington is seeking to impose its sanction in a comprehensive manner, but it may grant exceptions to some of the countries from their sanctions, such as Iraq, according to very specific cases based on national security exemptions. So you can see here it says that Baghdad had submitted a request to Russia in 2017 to obtain Russian tanks worth about $1 billion and was considering buying Russian anti-aircraft air defense system worth several $billion, including a S-300 and S-400 air defense system. He pointed out that many of the Iraq Army's armed vehicles are Russian manufactured. So they're going to need the approval of Biden for this to happen. I'm sure he's going to have his hand out and go, whatever I get in this hand here, maybe I'll forget what's going on over here. But this hand here, if I had some, I don't know, let's say.
What are you trying to say, sir?
Like you'd be holding something in that hand, and this hand you'd forget about. This hand you'd be concentrating on. That hand you'd go, what did I have there? I don't even remember.
You remember that? Yeah. Biden's like, yeah, let's say if I had something in this hand over here and, I'd forget the sanctions over in this hand here. That's what it reminds me of. We'll get more in his family doings here in just a minute. We're waiting for Iraq to get the exemption, if they do get it. Depends on whatever's in this hand will hopefully make him forget what's in the other hand. And when it comes to Biden right now, I'm not sure he knows which hand is which, so it won't make a difference. But yeah, they want to buy Russian weapons and they need permission from Biden. So we know the presidential election's coming up. It looks like the independents decided to go ahead and join Sauder and form the quorum against the coordination framework. Now, I told you coordination framework is trying like hell to prevent this government from being formed. They're in a whole heap of trouble, and you can understand why. Remember, Maliki's in that group, and so is a bunch of other corrupt individuals, and they're all afraid of what's going to happen. So a lot of these independents are decided to join Sauder. Sauder's making them deals, man, telling them, look, I really do want an all-inclusive government. Come join me, and do not be on the side of those who are resisting and obstructing. So the quorum is going to happen. A lot of times when I'm reading news articles and they have in there what it is that Sauder says, man, this guy is saying all the right things. So like I said, I hope he's the real deal Holyfield. But he seems to be saying all the right things and they seem very sincere. Again, I've never lived in Iraq. and it appears like Sauter's a good guy, so I'm hoping he is. Let me put it this way: he's not exactly friendly to the United States. He just wants everybody out of Iraq and leave Iraq to the Iraqi people. Anyways, Sauter sent out a plea to the independents. The independent people have responded, and then Sauter responded to them. Sauter announces a response from the independents to the presidential election session. I will return the favor to you and destroy the schemes of the corrupt. And for the record, it's already started. Are you aware of that? Oh, yeah. So let me get down to what he was saying, because it is really, it seems very sincere. But I do like what he's saying. So Sauter starts off with saying, it did not come to my ears, but rather penetrated my heart, that there was a tangible response from the independent parliamentary brothers after the last tweet. I would like to thank them for putting the nation's interests ahead of special interests and wishing that this heartfelt feeling would be fulfilled in the fullest way of love for Iraq. I will be obligated to return the favor to them at the earliest opportunity, not by sharing the cake. Remember, they said they didn't want that, because that is what they do not accept, and do not accept it at all. As we and them, the advocates of the homeland, rather, it is through healing the wounds and seeking to unite their ranks. So he's, the words he chooses, man, seem pretty sincere. I like to hear from people in Iraq. I'm wondering what their real feeling is about Sauter. I'm just curious. He seems like a sincere guy, and it seems like he's on a mission. And for the record, that mission has already started. This is why the coordination framework is freaking out. So you can see the coordination framework is still negotiating with Sauter. I don't know so much of it. I don't know so much that it's actually negotiating. It's probably more like Sauter just saying, no, it's this way or no way. And then people keep trying. Now you can see here, Maliki should be panicking. Look at Maliki resolves the controversy. Re-election is unacceptable, and the framework does not allow it. So there's rumors that the parliamentary would just be dissolved if they can't get this thing handled. Remember, we went through this in 2019 when Maliki quit. We had some nominations for the prime minister, and there was a lot of jockeying going around as to who it was going to be. And then the president Saleh said, look, I'm just not going to deal with this. I'll just dissolve the parliamentary. So the same thing is happening now. So either way, Maliki is pretty screwed. Of course they don't want re-election, because most likely they'll lose more seats. So you can see right here, it says the leader of the State of Law Coalition, Maliki. I love how he calls himself the State of Law. State of Law. These are the corrupt people. Maliki refused on Tuesday to dissolve the parliament and re-elections. And while he indicated that the coordination framework would stand firmly against this option, he stressed that raising this matter aims to frighten the independent representatives and push them to participate in next parliamentary session. Maliki said in a tweet on Twitter, which was followed by the news, that the issue of dissolving the House of Representatives and repeating the current elections is unacceptable and was not raised by the framework and its political forces, and it is not allowed and stands firmly against this option. So you got to be asking yourself, why is the coordination framework fighting so hard? Is it just to get Maliki into government? Is that all it is? No. I told you it's not just Maliki that's corrupt. And I told you Sauter and Al-Qademi, their goal was to go after these corrupt people. Coordination framework, Abdul Raghif shall be prosecuted. You can see right here from the news, a leading figure of the coordination framework, Al-Fatlawi, on Wednesday, commended the coordination framework's decree to dissolve the corruption deterring committee, calling for prosecuting its chairperson, Lieutenant General Abdul Raghif. Al-Fatlawi said in a statement to the news that the Prime Minister Al-Qademi's decision were unconstitutional and illegal. They were made to serve certain agendas. The court's ruling affirms that. The leading figure of the Shiite Forces Consortium said that the ruling allows holding Abu, not Abdul, and his committee liable for its involvement in criminal cases. So yeah, remember when I told you it's not just Maliki, it's a lot of people within the coordination framework. So you can understand why they're trying to be obstructive and they're trying to delay, and they're trying to fight their way into the government. The federal court allowed those who were harmed by Abu committee to file lawsuits. Many of the people were detained by Iraqi committee for a long time before being released later, and some were even tortured. So you can understand why it is Maliki and a lot of members of the coordination framework are freaking out, and they're trying to do anything possible. It's already starting. They're already going after the corrupt people. Al-Qademi has already detained one and has been charged. So now you can see why there is so much pressure on Maliki and the coordination framework to do anything and everything it can to obstruct this government from being formed, while they try to delay and figure out a way to negotiate out of this situation. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he can negotiate with Sadr. I think he truly means to go after all those people who since 2003 have been really screwing over the Iraqi people. Maliki went on to say, although this option was not raised by anyone from a political spectrum, it was raised at this time prior to the parliamentary session scheduled for March 26, aimed at spreading fears among the deputies, especially the independent among them, and pushing them to participate in a session, noting that the deputies are aware and convinced that these fears are delusional. Well, they've already said they're going to participate in the quorum. They don't agree with what's going on, they said, but they will participate. They will have full quorum. The president will be elected, and shortly after that, the prime minister. We're going to learn a lot real quick what type of government is going to be formed under Sadr. As you can see, already members of the coordination framework are being indicted, and that's said not only Abu Ragi, but his committee. So there's more than one individual. This is what I was talking about when I said it's not just Maliki, there's more than one. Already, Al-Qademi and Sadr making their move to go after those who are corrupt. Again, we got to get the government formed first before we could do anything about the budget getting passed, and then we could start talking all over again about a possible rate change. Anyways, that's it. Hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you later. I'm out.